Hidden beneath the vast canopy is a lost world of the ancient Maya. Nearly 2 million square miles of lush green hide centuries-old cities riddled with mysteries. But today, lasers in the sky are helping to expose these secrets.
It's kind of like having X-ray vision and seeing beneath the canopy without having to touch a single leaf.
Archaeologists are using this new superpower to unearth treasures on the ground.
We are starting to get information from all kinds of places where we knew absolutely nothing.
It's changing our understanding of the Maya and helping to create a treasure map of Maya's lost world. Today, what escapes eyes on the ground is often clear to hundreds of more powerful eyes in the sky. New technologies are being applied to archaeology, and it's gathering more information than ever thought possible. 2018 was an exciting year for the Maya. Across the Guatemala landscape, thousands of new ruins were popping up. Once hidden structures are being revealed through satellites and a laser scanning technology called LiDAR.
One of the most exciting tools that we have in our hands that we're just beginning to use in the Amazon is LiDAR. LiDAR scanning lets us see through the forest canopy to what lies below.
LiDAR means light detection and ranging. It works by firing streams of light pulses from an aircraft to the ground and timing the return of the pulse when it bounces back to the sensor. This reconstructs shapes under the canopy, almost like seeing with X-ray vision.
Every time that we have found a new set of tools, we get an insight into something that we've never imagined possible in the Amazon. And I think LiDAR is one of these things that's going to completely change how we understand the landscape. The trees have always been what's kept us from understanding what's happening in the Amazon, and now we can see through them.
More than 800 square miles of the Maya Biosphere Reserve have been mapped to reveal massive feats of engineering for the very first time. Taken together, the images point to a far more sprawling and sophisticated society. Man-made structures appear, complex roads, temples, and palaces. Engineering like this would make today's city planners proud. So, what happened? How could such a great society fail? Could it have been war? Religious cults and mass sacrifice? Drought? Laser mapping is the latest tool used to help unlock mysteries of the ancient Maya world. For decades, archaeologists have pieced together clues from ruins discovered the old-fashioned way, on foot. 10 years ago, in the heart of Mexico's Yucatan region, the ruins of a forgotten Maya town called Kiwik emerged from the jungle without the help of aerial LiDAR. In 800 AD, a local king ruled here and built an impressive pyramid shrine. 20,000 rocks cut and stacked 30 feet high. The ancient Maya often placed royal tombs under pyramids. So on a hunch, archaeologist George Bay decides to sink a shaft straight through Kiwik's pyramid.
This building represents an artifact that provides us with information about the evolution of Maya society. By examining it, we hope to understand how Kiwik evolved.
Bay has been working in the Yucatan for 3 decades, coaxing from the earth a snapshot of what life must have been like for the little-known Maya who lived here, called the Northern or Poor Maya.
Surprises. We have surprises.
21 feet into the hole, Bay and his team
stone. And so for us, this is a very distinctive type of stone. Here's the face of it. This is the flat face. And this back part of it is cut like this, angled. And that would have stuck into the wall.
These special vault stones were not used to build pyramids, but to hold up the ceilings of buildings. Yet inexplicably, here's one deep in the pyramid. And when they dig under the base of the pyramid, they find something even more out of place. The foundation of an ancient building.
This full level. This structure is completely new. It consists of several steps in a typical shape.
Do you have an idea of when this might be?
100.
Wow.
The pyramid dates to 800 AD, but analysis of pottery fragments confirms the foundation under the pyramid is 300 years older, dating to 500 AD. But that is an impossible date. To understand why requires a trip south, back to Guatemala, 600 BC, the earliest days of Maya civilization. Scholars always believed it was here, in a region called the Mirador Basin, that Maya civilization was born. Early kings razed the jungles and built monumental cities. Over the next 1,000 years, the Maya civilization became the most advanced in the Americas. They mastered mathematics and astronomy, perfected the first written language of the Western Hemisphere, and produced stunning works of art. But in 700 AD, there was a massive breakdown. War, political strife, and famine rocked the Maya world. Cities abandoned, and hordes of refugees escaped, fleeing north. As part of this wave, one refugee king sets down roots in Quito, founds the town, and soon after, builds a pyramid. At least, that's what scientists had always thought. Until now. With the discovery of the ancient building foundation, the dates don't add up. The foundation dates from 500 AD, but Maya refugees don't arrive here until at least 2 centuries later. Was someone already occupying Kiwik when the refugees arrived? 17 miles away, another discovery raises more questions. Its location is being kept a closely guarded secret As Fatima enters the sacred chamber, she notices something curious. It appears that countless torches and ritual fires once burned here. The Maya believed that caves were the dwelling place of gods. Maya priests made pilgrimage here on special religious holidays, consuming hallucinogenic plants to commune with the deities. The chamber is cluttered with broken pottery.
Here's an intentional deposit of ceramics where the Maya broke vessels as part of an offering.
Scholars suspect that breaking ceramics released the power of the offering.
They would break the vessel and scatter it around the cave. There's almost always one piece missing, so we think that the Maya took one piece with them and perhaps buried it outside the cave.
The team pushes deeper into the cave. Maya priests relied on ropes made of vines to get here. But even with modern climbing gear, Fatima's journey still takes 3 hours. She finally reaches the cave's most sacred point and discovers an extraordinary underworld. Ancient Maya paintings adorn the walls of the cave's burial tomb. One image uses the contours of the cave to create a unique 3-dimensional jaguar. Another portrays a mythical hunt with a ghost-like jaguar and deer.
What's striking about this painting is that the representations are not of living things. They are in the other world, in the world of death. Look at the body of the jaguar. It's skinny. It hasn't been well fed. And it has a deliberate mark in the middle. We think these marks represent illness.
Fatima has studied art in many Maya caves, but never has seen paintings like these. They are clearly Maya, but their unusual style suggests that whoever painted them was not part of the Maya civilization of the south. Stylistic analysis of the paintings and the ceramic offerings in the chamber indicate the murals were painted around 100 BC. That makes them among the oldest Maya paintings ever discovered in Mexico. The paintings date to the dawn of the Maya civilization. Scholars call it the pre-classic period. That was 800 years before the refugees from the south arrived in the Yucatan. So who painted these murals? Discoveries at another extraordinary new site may answer that question. Just outside the modern Yucatan city of Mérida, excavation for a new road network is unearthing scores of sites just by chance. 190 new Maya towns to date and counting. The map of the ancient Yucatan is shifting rapidly, exploding with previously unknown cities and towns.
People found that there's a lot more people, a lot more agriculture, and a lot more happening here than they ever imagined, and at a much earlier date than we ever imagined. We thought there were just little hamlets out here. Now we have very complex towns, and we might even have urban centers. The whole idea of a much more complex society is emerging up here, and it's on par, I think, with Guatemala.
We were walking right by these sites for decades without understanding them. wasn't like we had to go dig for these places. They were right under our noses. We just weren't seeing them, which is amazing if you think about it.
George Bay and his team resumed their work in Kiwik, clearing stones from the side of the pyramid. They're doing detective work, trying to figure out why a vault stone typically used to hold up the ceiling of a building was found buried inside the pyramid. Another clue emerges, suggesting something is very different about this pyramid.
This is something the workers found. It happened to last second for the way they turned it over. And notice that, in fact, it's a piece of sculpture. A sculptured face. Here's the face with the nose and the upper part of the mouth. So then you have to ask yourself, what's this that's over this face? And what it is part of a large headdress and mask that this lord would be wearing.
The ancient Maya often attached sculptures like this one to the facades of royal buildings. It's a watershed clue.
And those stairs.
Further excavation reveals the corner of a building.
This is the upper part of the preserved building, and this is what we call a broken molding. Over the doorway, this pile of rubble here is still filling the doorway. You can see remnants of the stucco here, probably modeled and painted.
As the team peels back the pyramid, a royal palace emerges. It consists of 3 buildings, a temple on one side, the royal family's residential quarters on the other, and a throne room in the middle. But why would the king of Kiwik build a pyramid on top of a palace?
Maya like to see spaces as having power. It's not uncommon to see in many different forms the building of one building on top of another, because sacred spaces, important places, are powerful. Our argument is that this is attempts to legitimize power. George believes an early king of Kiwik, perhaps even the founder of the town's royal dynasty, built the palace. Centuries later, another king built the pyramid over his ancestors' home, making a direct connection to his ancestors' power, enhancing his own. The palace may be most remarkable for another reason. The king who built the pyramid was not a late transplant from the south, but a descendant of a royal family that had been in Kiwik for a very long time. It now seems clear that here in the Yucatan there was a previously unknown Maya mega-society that was just as old and just as powerful as the south. We don't really know where the cradle of Genesis of Maya society is anymore. What we're learning is that there may have been multiple cradles. Guatemala can no longer lay sole claim to the title birthplace of the Maya. Now that the existence of this northern mega-society is confirmed, the questions rapidly multiply. Who were these lost Maya, and why were they forgotten? The average person thinks about Maya cities as great monumental cities. What they don't realize is that for every one of those cities, there are dozens of medium-sized towns like Kiwik that house maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people. From a lookout tower near Kiwik, it's easier to make sense out of the entire site. In Bay's view, Kiwik was the quintessential northern town. You're actually looking at what would have been downtown Kiwik, the city of Kiwik, where that small hill is, and that's the center of the city. is basically a pile of rocks. But if you were standing here 850 AD, what you'd be standing at the base of is an enormous stairway, which would have taken you up to the top of what we think is the palace or the plantation house or the big house. In the modern sense, a very palatial kind of construction.
They've dubbed the site Stairway to Heaven.
A place like Stairway to Heaven is amazing in the sense that they built a 9-10 room mansion up there. And that's a very nice building. A 9th century McMansion, okay, living up on top of that hill.
But who would have been rich enough and audacious enough to build such over-the-top real estate? Archaeologist Stephanie Sims is digging for answers, tearing up the floor of one of the 22 large stone buildings that make up the estate. Under the floor, a tantalizing clue.
Here I am sitting beneath the floor, level being right here, of a 3-room elite residence up on the hilltop. And here, just beneath the floor, are a few capstones covering a dedicatory offering.
The offering consists of a ceramic bowl and plate that appear to have been placed under the floor when the house was built.
It's a little suspicious that it would be odd to place a plate upside down like that without covering something, so.
As the team carefully removes the plate, specks of evidence surface.
Little teeny fragments of very badly decomposed, kind of eroded, degraded bone. Still can't tell yet whether it's human bone or animal bone, but I guess it's human.
The large capstones flanking the offering may be hiding something else. It was common practice of the Maya to rebury the defleshed bones of their deceased ancestors. It's called secondary burial.
What we're thinking of these secondary burials is that they're bringing bones or parts of family members to new locations to sanctify the structures that they're building.
The capstones under the floor of the house come off. A human tooth.
Confirming our suspicions, this is a human burial. This is a lower incisor right here.
There are several, and we're still waiting to uncover to see how many.
Though badly decomposed from the acidic soil, Stephanie can make out the remains of a human skull and arm and leg bones.
So this demonstrates to us that this offering is part of the burial underneath dedicating this house.
Back in the lab, Stephanie happily discovers that this skull's owner was not a daily brusher or flosser. Embedded in the teeth, 1,200-year-old plaque. Chemical analysis of food particles in the plaque gives Stephanie a hint about what kind of wealth Stairway's owners had.
I'm finding a much greater diversity of plant food items that were consumed, ingredients in stews and soups, squash, beans, tree fruits, chili peppers.
The bounty suggests that the people who lived at Stairway were major plantation owners, operating extensive farms in the valley below their hilltop estate. As George's team surveys nearby hills, it's clear that Stairway is not an isolated example, but one of dozens of estates. Indicators of widespread wealth start to emerge. Many secondary buildings at sites like Stairway, houses belonging to skilled workers like this one, are built of stone, a rarity
wealth and prosperity have spread over almost half of the population.
Kiwi may be evidence of America's very first middle class. Nearly a millennium before North America's colonial middle class.
These people might have had opportunities. They might have been able to acquire land. I mean, it's kind of fun to think about it, but they might have been living in the Maya dream.
If there was such a thing as the Maya dream, this is where it happened. Kiwi and Stairway are nestled in a lush region of the Yucatan called the Gran. Soil here is fertile, natural resources abundant. It looks like an ideal place for human habitation. Except for one thing.
The Puka region has no water sources. No rivers, lakes, streams, creeks. These people depended on controlling, collecting, and managing rainwater.
So how did they do it? Just a few hundred feet from the Stairway Estate House, archaeologist Bill Ringo has found an answer. Water falls heavily here, but only 6 months of the year. For the rest of the time, it dries out and virtually no rain falls.
This was one of the primary adaptations of the Pukamaya to this rather waterless environment.
This underground cavern is actually a man-made cistern called a chultu. It was a work of sophisticated engineering, carved out of the limestone bedrock.
Over here we can see how these chultuns were constructed. First of all, they would bore through the harder cap rock, and then once they got it into this underlying softer marl, they would excavate out and make this large chamber. The last stage would be to cover it with stucco, and you can see the thickness of the stucco here, this pinkish material.
The stucco functioned as a waterproof lining. The Maya expertly engineered the patios, rooftops, and plazas of Stairway to Heaven to capture every last drop of rainwater. Then drained it into 8 chultuns scattered throughout the estate. The entire hilltop functioned as a giant rain barrel. So how many people could this ingenious waterworks support? Bill Ringo and engineer Andrew Willis used an early version of LiDAR technology to map the chultun. The resulting 3D model allows them to calculate water capacity. Up to 10,000 gallons in each of the Stairway's chultuns provided a reliable source of water for the entire community. The typical family of 6 consumed 27 gallons a day. So Stairway's chultuns could have supported 7 families through 3 rainless months. These advanced waterworks formed the liquid foundation for life on Stairway and for dozens of other wealthy kingdoms like Kiwi nearby. And sitting at the very top of that foundation was a royal elite. George Bay has found hints of their surprising wealth hidden in the jungle. The ruins The new palace boasted 15 major buildings and 2 ceremonial plazas. From previous finds, George knows the buildings were adorned in ornate sculpture and painted stucco.
This is one of the best preserved buildings in the new palace. You can see the remains of the stucco, but they would have been painted sometimes with elaborate murals. And then there would have been beams hung from certain parts of the roof for curtains or tapestries, and a variety of furniture would have found its way in here. Kings like things like jaguar skin sofas, fancy pillows. This simple room would have perhaps been quite luxurious.
By 800 AD, the northern Maya society is over 1,500 years old. Its people have mastered this harsh landscape. Their facility with water allows for large-scale farming and generates vast wealth for their kings, and even for a new middle class.
Imagine this place in 800 AD. Jerusalem, the vast landscape of towns, villages, cities, smoke rising from thousands of different fires of burning fields, and then coming back from the fields.
But along with this portrait of a prosperous society, Bay's colleagues, Bill Ringel and Tomas Gallardo, are finding evidence of a disturbing political trend on the rise. From Kiewik is the majestic city of Uxmal. In the 800s, it rose to become the powerful political capital of the region. Local kings, like the king of Kiewik, likely traveled here to conduct diplomacy and pay tribute to Uxmal's royalty. Ringel wants to show Bay how these buildings underwent a peculiar modification in the 800s. An unmistakable new image was added to their facades.
What's really interesting is that little image right there. Feathered serpent. And actually there are 2 feathered serpents here intertwined across the facade.
Ringel believes the serpents are a symbol of a powerful religious cult. It was called Quetzalcoatl, or the feathered serpent.
The so-called cult of Quetzalcoatl, perhaps a better way to think about it is a political ideology. And of course it had religious overtones. Cults perhaps are a wrong word because it suggests something kind of small scale and extra governmental. This was political ideology, front and center.
To gain admittance into this cult, a local king, like Kiewik's, had to submit to a rigorous initiation.
The priest would very often sequester the initiate for several days. He would undergo rituals of self-mortification.
Artwork from the time depicted rituals involving bloodletting ceremonies in which initiates pierced their penises and other body parts.
A very interesting way to sacrifice yourself. Obviously very painful.
Another image on the facade represents the journey of an initiate, a small man being spit out of the mouth of a feathered serpent.
You can see the little man moving through his body to emerge as a transformed being. He's being transformed precisely because of the rituals of initiation that involved Quetzalcoatl.
The feathered serpent carvings at Uxmal suggest the cult swept through the north in the 800s. As local kings bought into the new ideology,
distinction between those who wish to adhere to this new ideology and those who wish to remain true to the traditional ideology of pioneering.
At the new palace in Kiewik, George finds signs that in the midst of the boom times, something else seems to go wrong.
We see this big pile of rock up here in front of the building, and it makes really not too much sense in the beginning. You have this beautiful building here on this side, a set of rooms on the other side, and right in the middle you have a big chunk of rubble. We conclude that what we're looking at is a actual staircase that was built by workers to give them access to the upper stories of the building. Here is a scaffold system being used by Maya as part of the construction technique. Okay, now it's not gone. The stairway is still here. If the building was finished, it would have removed the stairway. The indications of this scaffolding are is that you're seeing construction happening. You're not seeing a finished building.
Another part of Kiewik's palace shows similar signs of a sudden halt in construction. The second-story walls of the building are laid out on the ground by masons but never erected.
All these characteristics are evidence that the city was in full that architects were employed, that the king was feeling confident and powerful about what he was doing, that the city was part of a world that was blossoming and expanding, and not this idea of the king being this Havisham sitting among a ruined house with things slowly falling apart for him and his world collapse. This is a very different kind of image for what was going on.
So what brought Kiewik's boom times to a screeching halt? At first, war seems an obvious explanation for the stoppage. But an exhaustive search turns up no arrowheads and no spear points. But then, at Stairway to Heaven, the hilltop estate, the team finds clues that at the same time construction halted on the palace, this site was abruptly abandoned.
You have probably 5 or 6 vessels smashed on the floor from the time of the abandonment. I think some of them would have been left here on the floor. Others were probably hanging from the walls.
But these people were not running for their lives. The evidence suggests an orderly departure. Pots carefully hung on wall rags or set to the sides of rooms. They were left intact and only broke later as the abandoned building began to crumble.
But it looks like most of them are right along the edges of the interior. It really looks like they're taking some time to put these vessels somewhere to harden and time to leave.
Like making things neat right before you leave the house.
Kind of hiding up in some way.
So what could have caused this carefully planned abandonment of Stairway and the abrupt work stoppage at the palace? At Stairway to Heaven, data indicates cisterns would have armed the Maya for 3 months without rain, a few months longer with emergency water rationing. But evidence from core samples suggests this would not have been enough.
We find 8 of these bands that suggests, in fact, that it wasn't just like one massive drought. It was probably a series of droughts that have durations of about 3 to 20 years. And every time things would get going again, they would get counted with a fairly long duration drought.
At some point, the droughts overwhelmed Stairway, leaving only one option.
All it would take would be a short period of time in which there was no water in those systems. Those people would have to leave that hill. It's simply impossible to live there. Various families, elite families, they were reaching a point where they were having to make a very difficult
Mayans returned, they fully expected they would too.
The Maya knew about droughts. They were probably a civilization designed to respond not only to managing rainwater, but managing a lack of rainwater too. It's not a surprise they left. What becomes the question for us is why they don't come back.
So why didn't Stairway's residents and the King of Kiwi survive these droughts, as they clearly had in the past? The extreme intensity of these droughts was disastrous, making a carefully managed response their only hope. But May and Ringle speculate the North's political establishment was falling into disarray, distracted by the cult of the feathered serpent.
The collapse of the Northern Maya apparently began during the 9th century. That's also the time period during which this feathered serpent ideology was introduced. And this undoubtedly led to rivalries with respect to power brokering.
Ringle thinks the political situation may have become so extreme that there was no longer any governmental system capable of organizing their return. With a stable government, the Northern Maya might have survived, but it wasn't to be. And within a century, the major cities and towns of the North, just like the South, were left in ruins. Today, the empty jungles of the Yucatan serve as a reminder that even great civilizations can fail. As the years passed, slowly the jungle reclaimed these magnificent buildings. Whole towns and cities vanished under a green wave. They became secrets of the forest. Only now, thanks to new technology and fieldwork, can the extent of what was lost come into view. Chile is a South American wilderness. Isolated from the rest of the continent, the country is a mosaic of different landscapes. None are quite as hostile as the Atacama Desert. These are thirsty lands. Some areas haven't seen rain since history books began. It's the driest desert on Earth, where water has to be salvaged from unusual sources. Risk is an everyday reality. Creatures in Chile's Atacama Desert adapt or die. Atacama is one of the most unforgiving places on Earth. Stretching across northern Chile and straddling 4 countries, the Atacama Desert is almost as big as Cuba. Other than Earth's poles, no other place in the world is drier than here. The wettest areas receive only half an inch of rain a year. But in the desert's center, as far as history knows, it has never rained. Every corner of the compass reveals nothing but sand, stretching as far as the eye can see. It seems impossible that anything can live here. Despite the bleak prospects of life, if you know how, there are ways of surviving. The animals of the Atacama never overlook opportunity. And when they find it, they fight to the death to defend it. In the middle of the Atacama, life congregates around any source of water. The Salar de Atacama is the largest salt flat in Chile. Its waters are filtered down from the Andes almost 200 miles to the east. With no way to escape the mountain plateau, the waters are trapped. They slowly evaporate, leaving behind a vast expanse of thick salt crust. It's here that the Atacama is host to a salt flat fighter. At the lake's edge, the Fabian's lizard is king. There's not much to rule over, but whatever there is, he'll defend with unrestrained ferocity. And he doesn't do it alone. An unusual and ingenious lizard, he would be nothing without his partner in crime. This female is his honey trap. Her job is to distract invading males with sexual pheromones, allowing her mate to ambush the unsuspecting intruder. They use the highest salt crust as a lookout. From here, they can survey their land and spot any would-be usurpers. It isn't long before a trespasser catches their eye. The scaly temptress wastes no time before flirting with the enemy. He's enticed by her advances, and of course, it's too good to be true. Her partner spies on them from a distance, waiting for the perfect moment. A signal from her, and he charges into battle. He puffs himself out to intimidate his competitor, but his rivals don't know. The two salt flat fighters go for the kill. Countless throwdowns, the intruder is desperate to escape. But this lizard's forte is fighting. Finally, the intruder is allowed to leave reason for defending this patch. Their main source of food is swarming. In the heat of the day, black clouds of flies descend on the water's edge. For the lizards, catching them is an art form. But this isn't the case for everyone. This Andean lapwing's methods are a little less sophisticated. There's little else to eat, but there are plenty of flies to go around.
It's a legendary cathedral to speed.
You are fast on the Nordschleife. You are fast everywhere.
Originally built to save a region.
We wanted to boost the economy by building a racetrack.
Known as the Green Hell, its hallowed asphalt has been forged in heartache.
It was a very dangerous track. We had a lot of accidents.
For nearly 100 years, the Nürburgring Nordschleife has been the epicenter of the automotive world.
The Nordschleife is the most challenging, most dangerous, most enjoyable driving racetrack in the world.
Today, it's a key laboratory for four-wheeled machines.
This is the most daunting corner.
The Nürburgring is the ultimate test for a super sports car.
It's proof of the pudding if what they did on the test bench and in the calculation.
The best place for a new challenger to make its mark.
We are really busy right now developing our first high-performance car on the Nürburgring.
Both man and machine must prove their mettle by pushing new technologies to the absolute limit inside the ring. Deep in western Germany, carved directly into the Eiffel Mountains, stands a wonder of the automotive world.
The Nordschleife is famous for being the most challenging racetrack in the world.
The Nürburgring Nordschleife, it's a famed racetrack, a cultural phenomenon, and a hotbed for automotive testing.
The Nürburgring became a kind of mecca where you have to go one time in your life.
The circuit's main attraction is its unparalleled length.
The secret of the Nürburgring is the long lap.
At 20.8 kilometers, the Nürburgring Nordschleife is the longest racetrack in the world.
Racetracks normally are between 3 to 6 kilometers. What makes the Nürburgring really special is it's really, really long for a racetrack.
The dramatic distance isn't the only attraction. The circuit also features over 300 meters of elevation changes and 73 corners.
On a normal racetrack, you need 10 laps and pretty well. At the Nürburgring, you need hundreds of laps and you're still learning every lap.
No two turns are alike. Each offers a brand new experience for a driver.
You have lots of different corners, you have ups and downs, you have strange corners.
You can't see through the bands, you're driving right through the middle of a forest.
It's really challenging.
And you're really high speed, and then you have really tight corners. Following the fast one, but you can't see it. So they are all blind. And then there are the points where the people usually crash very often.
The difficulty is compounded by inclement weather. On average, it rains 223 days a year.
Everything is blind. There is no safety, no runoff. So in the wet, it really gets very, very dangerous. It's a dangerous place, and that's what attracts people.
The extreme length and severe conditions make the circuit a stimulating driving experience and one of the most challenging testing environments in the world.
They go testing here, prototypes. Everything which will be good on the market has to be tested.
Today, the ring is world renowned as the ultimate automotive laboratory.
For a couple of thousand kilometers with a new car, you definitely get an idea if the new technology is working well or not.
Nearly every major car company has set up shop here in order to push their newest machines to the absolute edge of performance.
The pinnacle of testing is the Nürburgring because it's the most difficult, the longest, and the most exciting racetrack there is.
The track is a critical location for automotive innovation. A myriad of technological advancements have come to life on this hallowed tarmac.
Every day when there's no race, the track is used by companies and suppliers for endurance tests. It's still the ultimate proof for a new technology.
Everything from engine tech and suspension setup to ultra-powerful braking advancements are taken to the extreme. Repeatedly analysed, pushed again and again, only to then be perfected.
In the automotive world, you have benchmarks. And if you produce a car for your customer, you want to produce it at the highest level.
The car has to work a lot in the Nordschleife. So it's the best thing to test here because 1 kilometer is 1,000 kilometers on a normal track. It's very hard stuff for the car. So suspension, tires and brakes, it's 1,000 times harder than on a normal road.
Throughout the decades, the hard work pays off for a variety of automakers.
Every single AMG you can buy today is developed on the Nordschleife.
For Porsche, it's very important because it's the ultimate test for your car.
It's always good for the car factory when they can say, we tested this car on the Nordschleife. And everybody says, wow.
The circuit offers the ability to transform dreams into high-performance realities.
If you can make it there, you can make it everywhere, because it's really the hardest track I know.
The latest company to join the fray is Hyundai. Over a decade ago, they were considered automotive upstart. Now, they're the 5th largest car maker in the world.
So far, it is not possible to say Hyundai Motors is a premium brand.
Though Hyundai Motor Company has been acknowledged for its proud quality and design innovation, it has been lacking in emphasizing the kind of pleasure of driving that gains passionate fans of the brand.
To gain more fans, a group of dedicated engineers pushed the pedal to the metal.
There might have been many reasons why Hyundai couldn't become a premium brand, and one of them is our car cannot show the ultimate best performance.
To take the next high-performance step, the brand sets its sights on the famed Nürburgring.
We established a workshop at the Nürburgring and have since continued to test cars in development.
The quest for speed doesn't start in a boardroom.
Its origin comes from the recruitment of those who wanted to make a high-performance car and all voluntarily got together. These people fundamentally love high-performance cars, and it was their dream to create them. Therefore, they are holding their passion in order to make their dream come true.
That passion leads to a new high-performance sub-brand called the N Division.
Well, I dare say that Brand N will changing the future of Hyundai Motors.
Changing a car maker's trajectory is hard to do. However, for nearly 100 years, the Nürburgring Nordschleife has played a key role in altering the future of the automobile as we know it. Yet amazingly, it was almost never built. For nearly a century, the Nürburgring has echoed with the sound of engines. Yet its beginnings are only partly due to the automobile.
The Nürburgring Nordschleife is part of German history. It reaches far back to the beginning of the 20th century, when the automobile was rising in Europe.
In the early part of the century, William II, the Emperor of Germany, is enthusiastic about the racing industry in his country. But the plans are put on hold when World War I breaks out.
In the early 20s, they again started discussing the race and test track for the rising German automobile industry.
The primary rationale isn't motor vehicles, but farmers.
The Eifel was a very poor area. The farmland was very bad, so people were suffering a lot.
It was really the best idea to build a racetrack here in the region.
In 1925, construction begins. It's an enormously ambitious project that requires over 25,000 workers.
They didn't look at where it was the easiest to go, it's the opposite. It made it a real challenge.
It takes 2 years to complete and costs more than 14 million Reichsmarks. That's the equivalent to over 35 million euros.
But from the very beginning on, the Nürburgring was planned as a test track for the German automobile industry.
It might be hard to imagine, but in the 20s, the German auto industry is full of upstarts.
There were many new brands coming up.
Finally, on June the 18th, 1927, the Nürburgring is ready.
The first important race was won by Rudi Caracciola, who was a racer for Mercedes-Benz.
Over the next 10 years, the Germans dominate Grand Prix racing. In the process, they cement a reputation for reliable, high-performance machines. Nearly 100 years later, little has changed at the ring. Modern upstarts still come to the Nordschleife to make a name for themselves.
Hyundai is one of the automotive players who saw that it is absolutely important to get here the hardest test you can do in the world.
In 2013, the brand spends over €6.5 million to build a state-of-the-art facility.
When we get a new car, this is the most important time. Overall, the feeling is like Christmas when you have a new toy unpacked and then you're ready to go. But you have to be very careful. It's a very expensive toy.
The team hides the new prototype in plain sight by applying camouflage. However, changing the appearance of a machine is nothing new at the Nürburgring. In 1934, Mercedes arrives at the ring for a race, but fails inspection.
When they came to the Nürburgring, that car was a few kilograms above the 750 kilogram limit.
That evening, the team has an idea that will alter the brand's destiny, one chip of paint at a time.
They had the brilliant idea to scrap the paint off. And the car came under the 750 kilogram weight limit.
Mercedes races and wins, thus giving birth to the legend of the Silver Arrow. From this point forward, all of their race cars will be painted silver.
It sounds romantic, it is romantic, yeah, but that's how life is at the end, and how history is.
It's a powerful tale that is reinforced in 2013 when a Silver Arrow sells for over 22 million euros at auction. Today, success at the ring isn't nearly as elite. New challenges emerge every year in every category.
We are not developing a car that is available only to an exclusive few. We are starting with the development of a high-performance C-segment car, for it holds the highest demand in the global market.
The C segment, or compact segment, is one of the most fiercely contested automotive genres, making it the perfect vehicle to prove on the ring. For nearly a century, the Nürburgring Nordschleife has been a key location for worldwide automotive advancement.
The track originally was built as a test track. So it is in the DNA of the Nürburgring.
It's really normal that you see cars like Porsche, and Lamborghini and McLaren and a lot of Ferraris, etc.
Exotic cars aren't the only visitors to frequent the ring. Over the years, nearly every major auto manufacturer has used the circuit to develop their cars. Today, over 40 brands use the venue as a critical testing tool. However, before a new machine can hit the track, first it needs to be proven in a lab. For one of the ring's newcomers, that process begins at the Namyang Research and Development Center in Korea, where the search for speed starts very delicately. Scientists use powerful microscopes to find the best material for a new engine.
It can magnify the images of samples more than 600,000 times and can identify the positions of atoms.
At a focused ion beam workstation, researchers create 100 nanometer thick samples of the metal. The microscope is so exact that it can see 1/10,000th of a human hair. Once the team approves a metal, a new engine block is cast. To ensure there are no imperfections, the team checks each prototype block in an advanced CT scan machine.
You can use CT scanning to look through the inside of products without cutting the product concept.
The machine is 100 times more powerful than a traditional CT scan machine in a hospital. And it is accurate to within 10 micrometers, roughly the size of a single red blood cell. They look for defects, including bubbles, foreign objects, and tiny cracks.
Defects even smaller than the size of an invisible hair can cause a big problem. We detect them beforehand and draw out a solution for improvement so that we can prevent the same problem from happening in the manufacturing process.
While engineers study defects, in another area of the facility, the team designs a new engine.
When we decided to initiate the development of high-performance engines, the first and most important thing was that we had to analyze our existing ordinary engines to identify their weaknesses.
The team discovers two major differences. In a normal engine, pistons spin between 4,000 and 6,000 revolutions per minute. But high-performance engines need to spin faster, often up to 9,000 RPM.
We have never developed the high RPM engines before.
The second modification is not the engine, but how to lubricate it.
Unlike users of ordinary cars, the drivers of high-performance cars can cut corners very sharply. Therefore, the coolant or engine oil can be jerked away to one side, which can cool the engine inconsistently, or in the worst-case scenario, leads to engine issues such as engine failures.
With the key areas identified, the team designs their first true high-performance engine. They begin with a durability valve test that simulates hundreds of thousands of openings. Once the valves are proven, the team turns to a sophisticated engine test bench.
At the moment, our laboratory is testing performance improvements for high-performance engine.
The engine runs at maximum power for over 300,000 kilometers. That's enough energy to power an average house for over 7 years. Each revolution offers clues to tame the ring. Finally, they're ready to build an engine. Of course, building engines to tame the Nordschleife isn't actually new.
24 of the world's best racing drivers get off to a roaring start in the German Grand Prix.
In the early 50s, the Nürburgring becomes part of a burgeoning racing series called Formula One.
In 1951, there was the first Formula One race on the Nürburgring, and from then on, Formula One and the Nürburgring became a kind of synonym.
Formula One pushes the edge of automotive technology. Over the years, F1 cars get faster and faster.
Jackie Stewart gave the name Green Hell. When he gave this nickname to the track, there were no runoff areas. You just pass small trees, and with 200 kilometers per hour, even more, you know, it's just like a green tunnel.
The nickname sticks due to the danger. During a 15-year period from 1954 to 1969, 5 F1 drivers lose their lives, making the Nordschleife the second most deadly circuit in F1 history.
Formula One cars were too fast for the Nürburgring.
Then in 1976, the ring is rocked when Ferrari driver Niki Lauda has a horrific crash.
It was the end of the Formula One time on the Nordschleife.
The Nürburgring has just lost its prized place in Formula One. Little does anyone know, the next big thing is just around one of the 73 bends. For over a century, the Nürburgring Nordschleife challenges drivers and captivates fans. However, by the mid-70s, the circuit hits the wall. The very cars that made it famous are now too fast for it.
I think it was time to stop racing with such fast cars on the Nürburgring.
Suddenly, the ring goes quiet.
A very hard time started for the Nürburgring.
As the adulation fades, the emptiness encourages a new kind of fame and tenant.
A few manufacturers always knew about the testing possibilities on the Nordschleife and the effect it had on developing the road holding of the car.
Since the ring's inception, the German auto industry has used it to test their engines. However, by the 70s, a seismic shift takes place in the car world. Automakers see a new market for high-performance machines. Factory-modified race-bred cars built for the street.
The M brand started off in 1972. It's a nice play with numbers because the Nürburgring itself was founded in 1927. So the 2 and the 7 just swap places, and that's the beginning of M.
To perfect the dual personalities of these new machines, engineers need the repeatability of a racetrack and the unpredictability of a public street. The Nordschleife offers both.
If you do a testing round, you can get every condition there is in real life doing just one turn on the Nürburgring track, and that makes it so very, very special.
Engineers flock to the ring. The explosion in testing transforms the area.
Since in the 1980s, many car makers used the Nürburgring for their professional car testing. This also attracted suppliers. So there was a little automobile industry growing around the Nürburgring.
By the end of the 80s, there are so many prototypes running on the ring that the circuit needs a new set of rules.
Then special dedicated test time, which was blocked only for industrial tests, started at the end of the 80s.
For 16 weeks a year, the car industry is the primary user and benefactor of the ring.
There are only 16 industry exclusive weeks during the year, which start in March and it ends in October. So you roughly have 2 weeks per month that we can test the cars.
The ring remains a relative secret for the rest of the 80s and early 90s.
In the early days, nobody knew. Just a few locals.
What starts as a hotbed for German engineers soon becomes an international destination.
It is not a coincidence that all the manufacturers from the United States, from Japan, from Korea, and of course all the Europeans, they all test their products here.
The combination of 73 corners and over 300 meters of dynamic elevation changes is perfect for proving new machines, new parts, and especially new transmissions. Inside the Nanyang R&D Center, engineers design a manual transmission.
For the first time in Hyundai Motors, we have started to develop manual transmission for high-performance cars.
They shift over 500,000 times to ensure that the gearbox can withstand the rigors of the ring.
Typically, the tests take 1.5 months or 2 months.
Guaranteeing everyday durability is important, but it's absolutely crucial to withstand the Nürburgring.
If the transmission boxes pass the criteria standards, they will be installed into actual cars.
As one team continues to develop the transmission, another group focuses on getting the drivetrain's power to the ground. They test a new electronic limited slip differential. When a driver takes a sharp turn and a tyre loses traction, the unit reroutes power to the other wheel to ensure maximum performance.
The tests show the stability of cars that went through under swift cornering conditions.
The electronic limited slip differential is one of the critical technologies needed for high-performance wet weather driving, something that's all too common on the ring. Once the latest ELSD and transmission units are installed, it's time to ship the prototype over 8,000 kilometers to the Nürburgring Nordschleife, where it will be put through its paces, lap after brutal lap. The Nürburgring has been hallowed automotive ground for nearly 100 years. But the last 20 may be its most important. A who's who of the Auto World have set up shop just a stone's throw away from the ring.
It is well known Nürburgring is the toughest track in the world.
To become a household high-performance name, Hyundai must tackle the ring with their new prototype.
It's delivered in a prototype stage. All the systems are working. We then put in the sensor and measurement equipment and set the car up for the tests.
At the Nürburgring R&D Center, the team wires each new prototype machine with a variety of computer sensors that monitor a wide range of functions such as engine, transmission, and braking performance. Once the car is prepped and wired, it's time to hit the track.
With these tests we went around if the vehicle systems work as designed.
Test pilots will drive over 480 accelerated durability laps in every conceivable weather condition.
Our 10,000-kilometer Nürburgring Nordschleifen endurance test is equivalent to about 150,000 to 180,000 kilometers driving on the regular streets.
Machines are tested at 90% of their maximum performance. The goal is to collect as much data as possible.
With a high-performance vehicle, we will really get to the limit of physics.
Being tested at the Nürburgring is a stamp of approval. This single location has defined an entire generation of cars and shaped the future of the automobile.
We also have some outside consultants who are working and driving on the Nürburgring for decades, so they know every little curbstone and every tree in the Eifel forest.
One of those consultants is Dirk Scheusman, a long-time Nürburgring test pilot with over 1 million kilometers of prototype experience.
Professional drivers like Dirk, he can drive fast without risking too much. This comes from years of experience.
You might not have heard Dirk's name, but you've certainly seen the cars he's worked on.
People, they want to race you, and that is simply stupid, yeah? It is not a race, yeah? Almost at the end of the straight. So you have a 2.8 kilometer straight, so that means most cars, they reach their top speed here, just before they reach. So this kink is really full speed, yeah? Then you look up the chicane, so we know everything is clear. You will notice many bumps and things. The car is moving a lot, yeah?
Professional test pilots aren't just fast, they have an uncanny ability to feel the car.
So now we get to a very nice area where fast cars get a little bit airborne here on the hump. You feel how the car is a bit light. On this section we see the highest temperatures of the transmission, for example.
The Nordschleifen's 73 corners punish almost every component on a car, making it the perfect venue to prove new technologies.
In the past decades, we introduced ceramic brakes, we introduced double clutch gearbox. All these gadgets and ideas, of course, were tested on the Nürburgring and then transferred into serial production.
The key to testing is when a pilot returns. Both man and machine must be downloaded.
When the test driver comes back from the test, then I'll do a debriefing and he will tell me if there is a problem on the car. We will download the data from the vehicle data logger, which recorded all the data of all systems.
Next, engineers send the information back to their colleagues inside the Nanyang R&D Center.
Due to the 7 to 8 hour differences between our research centers, side of the world works while the other rests.
The work never stops. It's a round-the-clock quest to push the brand into new territory.
We'll then get some modified parts or modified software. We'll test these solutions on the track.
time the team waits, data isn't the only thing that's been spectacular. Each day, the Nürburgring operations team surveys the asphalt at dawn.
When we open in the morning, they go on the test lap, check the track, if everything is fine. So when the track is clear, it will be open for testing, for racing, for the tourist cars.
The staff keep an eye on all 20.8 kilometers from inside a high-tech control room.
If a crash happens, the track will be closed, the safety team will go out and check what happened. If necessary, the ambulance will be called. We check if everything is okay, and then the track will be reopened.
Keeping the track open is vital because it's a mecca for car fans from around the world.
It's like a magnet for petrol heads.
Some visitors hire professional drivers. Perhaps the most famous is Sabine Schmitz, affectionately known as the Queen of the Ring.
My record is 1,250 laps in 1 year. I was always driving very spectacular, sideways, with one hand, waving to spectators, having fun.
Sabine's career starts thanks to some youthful delinquency.
First time I won the ring myself was in my mom's car. I had no driver license, nothing. I just took her car and I went up to the ring. As fast as I could go, I disappeared on the track. Really big fun. The only thing was my mom was a bit confused. Where are my tires gone? No brakes on the car.
During a taxi drive, ordinary people can hire professional pilots to take them on a fast lap around the track.
Never been in a race car before, so it's very exciting. I've dreamt of this since I was a little boy, so...
For some, that fantasy begins in the virtual world.
I probably have 1,000 laps on this track in Forza.
Forza is one of a handful of video games that has ignited a passion for the ring in the next generation.
All these simulation racing games give the opportunity to learn the Nordschleife. It's pretty cool that even the young people, the kids, know the Nordschleife.
Video games aren't just for kids. They play an important role for pro drivers too.
What I learned from a lot of race drivers is they just played, and then when they came, of course, they knew the track.
The representation is nearly photorealistic, but nothing beats the ring in real life.
The best thing I ever done. Better than sex.
Being a passenger is one thing, sliding behind the wheel is another. The Nordschleife is actually a public road. The circuit is only closed during races or testing events.
People can come with their own car and drive on the Nürburgring for approximately 27 euros per lap.
We have recreational tourism here, so people are here to have fun. Here it's completely open, everybody can have a go. Whatever car they have, it's like Wild West.
Ordinary people can try the ring during tourist drives.
The first lap is quite an experience you will never forget in your whole life.
In recent years, smaller companies established a rental business right here at the track.
Trackside rentals come prepped with roll cages and extra safety systems.
You have to make sure you keep on the right side of the track. You can only overtake on the left side. If you see someone waving yellow flag or you see a yellow light flash, and that means there has been an accident.
Accidents here have severe consequences.
If you have an accident and you're guilty because it's your fault, then you have to pay.
Crash and you're not only liable for damages, but also the track's lost revenue. 1 hour of downtime can cost over 1,300 euros. And that doesn't even include the ambulance and tow truck fares. There are so many visitors racing that it's spurred a new cottage industry.
I'm here to film. Most people think it's all about the crashes, but that's just a small part. We film here the entire day.
The most popular videos feature multiple crashes, but some show a more outlandish side for the circuit.
An old Suburban, an old limousine. I've seen a BMW with bikes on its roof. The craziest things that I've seen here are obviously the VHL van.
Expedited overnight delivery service is fast, but at the Nordschleife, true speed isn't measured in days or hours, but seconds. The Nürburgring Nordschleife has always been about speed. Early on, purpose-built race cars dominate. But by the end of the century, the competition shifts gears.
There is horsepower, there's acceleration, there's top speed, but there's also the Nordschleife lap time.
A select few supersport manufacturers start promoting the lap times of their newest street-legal machines.
The Nürburgring lap time is the ultimate proof for a sports car. You cannot fake it, you have to do it.
A fully-fledged automotive arms race develops. Only instead of car versus car, it's now car versus clock. The goal is simple: to be known as the fastest manufacturer to lap the ring.
The Nürburgring is the thing right now, and you have to put up a lap time when you introduce a new supercar or sports car. It really became a performance measurement.
Soon brands realized that a fast lap pays off in other ways.
A car manufacturer who launches a new model which laps under 7 minutes, for example, must be a good car. And that at the end pays off on the marketing side.
On the morning of September 4th, 2013, Porsche sets the standard when they take their 918 Spider to the ring.
When I came around the last corner and I saw the 657, it was a good feeling as well. It's good to see the numbers up there.
When the 918 crosses the line, it becomes the fastest production car to ever lap the ring. However, success at the Nürburgring is often fleeting. Just 3 months later, the McLaren P1 breaks the 7-minute mark as well, putting the world on notice that automotive advancement never stops.
Can you master the Nürburgring? I say, no, you can't. Yeah? You can try, but you will never succeed permanently. Maybe that's also a part of the mystique or the myth of the Nürburgring and the Green Hell.
Not that long ago, brands like Porsche and McLaren were plucky newcomers, battling to be recognized. Today, they're household, high-performance names. While they fight to stay on top, others battle to break in and make their mark in the automotive world.
We have defined the character of our first high-performance car, and now the core team is serving this character.
If there's one truism in the car industry, it's to never underestimate an upstart.
It started like all little startups in the garage with 4 vehicles being prepared there and serviced there.
The passion that starts in a small garage continues.
저희들이 지금 현재 함께하고 있는 설계와 시험 연구원들은 어떻게 보면
Our designing and testing team members work late at night, even though I urge them to go home.
new machines and the motor company are taking their first steps towards one day setting records of their own. Some might very well be set on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. The longest, fastest, and most challenging track in the world.
If you build a racetrack today, I think the Nordschleife is just a perfect example of how a racetrack should be.
The Nürburgring is a treasure not only for Germany, but for everybody who loves cars.
such a fucking hoe, I love it. You're such a fucking hoe, I love it. You're such a fucking hoe, I love it. You're such a fucking hoe, I love it. I love it. I love it. You're such a fucking hoe, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
myself, it is my religion. And they say that I am the sick boy, easy to say. Don't take the risk, boy. Welcome to the night system. We're united under our indifference. I believe in G-O-D, don't believe in T-H-O-T. She keep playing me dumb, I'm a player for fun. Y'all don't really know my mental, let me give you the picture like stencil. Falling out in a drought, no flow rain as I'm pouring down. See that pain was all around, see my mode was kinda lounge. Didn't know which way to turn, flow was cool but I still felt burned. Energy up, you can feel my surge, I'ma kill everything like this purge. Let's just get this straight for a second, I'ma work. Even if I don't get paid for progression, I'ma get it. Everything that I do is electric, I'ma keep it in motion, keep it moving like kinetic. Keep this shit in the frame, better know I don't blame everything that I say. Man, I seen you deflate, let me elevate, this ain't a prank. Have you walking on a plane? La 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 la. Both hands together, God, let me pray. I been going right around, call that relay. Pass the baton, back in the mall, swimming in the pool, can't drink them all. Want a piece of this, a piece of mine, my piece of sign. Can you please read between the lines? My rhymes inclined to break your spine. They say that I'm so fine, you could never match my grind. Please do not waste my time. What you know about rolling down in the
One more night, forget this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Mama, please don't worry about me, 'cause I am about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Maybe one more night, forget this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Maybe one more night, forget this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Back and forth with the bullshit. I know I said it before, I don't mean it. It's been a while since I had your attention, so it might hurt to hear this. Dreams we have don't ever fall away, but we can leave them if we stay the same. And I can't do this for another day. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night, forget this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night, forget this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business.
In tiny liquor bottles, that's what you do. It's life inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, that's what you do. It's life inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, that's what you do. It's life inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. You execute, 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 inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga. Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you expect inside her new Balenciaga.
Some sleep. You can't go on like this. Try counting sheep.
Matiremo, Dorime. Ameno, comandare in terra di Ameno. Dimere, Matiro, Matiremo, Ameno. Dorime, interrimo ad appare.
Bitches getting knocked out, niggas catching clips like movies. Old bitch try to pop up, little bitch, you can't fool me. Red rose look like hot sauce, baby, you should wanna come to me. Main bitch in my iPhone, cause these little thoughts in the nudies. Got them teens getting boxed up like a motherfucking pair of Subies. Give me head, bitch, duck, duck, she got purple hair like Uzi. Smuggle shit, tryna double shit, put the boot bags in the coochie. Suck and fuck, I ain't fall in love, baby, don't start no rumors.
Bitch, you talk too much. I'm moving slow. Tell me what's the rush. You don't know me well. I belong in hell. All the shit I did, I'm a trouble kid. You can't break my code. 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 You can't break my code.
T.E.O. tryna re-up on everything cause we need it. Flexing with my best friend cause her ex-man got deleted. Other half, you're my better half. I got hella rap on the sneakers. Hella tracks, I got hella raps. I might fuck around and go legal. Living better, she can get whatever, baby. Put it all on a visa. On the go when I'm getting dough, nigga, get a slice of the pizza. You ain't shit, you ain't bitch shit, nigga, stop tryna get a feature. Same niggas on that hate shit, they the same niggas still sleeping.
Like me so, bitch, you talk too much. I'm moving slow. Tell me what's the rush. You don't know me well. I belong in hell. All the shit I did, I'm a trouble kid. You can't break my code. 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 Yeah, you can't break my code. 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 Flip a fucking cross, I don't need a messiah. Fuck the ground, the thorns, I got a kind of barbed wire. Burn the fucking church, light a blunt with the fire. Fumes got my head spinning like a fucking tire. Me and my whole clique up pariahs. Hitting C notes like a choir. Hitting C notes like Mariah. Your bitch wanna give me your saliva. Add the signal bitches to the dick, now that's a hydra. Prior to the Odyssey, I fuck your mom vagina. She was soft and wet like papaya. Super soft for higher, hoes in my designer. Haters know me like a fucking sniper. Me is like a ripping blades waiting to retire.